The isolated valleys of northern Pakistan, in the heart of the Karakorum mountain range. Life here is as hard as the landscape is beautiful. For centuries, farmers have squeezed a meager living out of the soil of these dry, rocky terraces. For many, it is a struggle simply to survive. In recent years, the pace of change has quickened. The highway linking Pakistan and China has opened up new markets and encouraged new crops. But most villages are far from the highway, and incomes are still less than half the national average. Even in these remote villages, change is coming. Not by road, but in the classroom. These young people are teachers, symbols of hope, in an area where fewer than 1 man in 5 can read and write. For women, it's 1 in 20. Until recently, however, they faced an almost impossible task. They were untrained. Their own education stopped at grade 10. They often don't know much more math, science, and Urdu than the children they teach. They were poorly paid and rarely supervised. But today, these young people are part of a remarkable experiment. Can they become better teachers without leaving these valleys? Tradition dies hard in these mountains. As in many areas of the developing world, poor teaching is easy to spot. Memorization and chanting in chorus are standard practice. Spontaneous participation by the children is discouraged. All too often, it is the stick which rules. Even at the teachers' colleges, lecturing and rote learning remain the norm. And so these traditional methods are handed down to trained and untrained teachers alike.
मनसूबाबंदी की जाती है। हम बुनियादी तौर पर हर काम के करने के लिए मनसूबाबंदी करते हैं। मनसूबाबंदी की बड़ी अहमियत हासिल है।
The challenge for women like Naik Parveen, who want to be teachers, is even greater. Many have never left the valleys where they were born. Traditional values make it difficult for young women and their families to accept the idea of going far away to a teacher training college. The result is that hundreds of teachers in these remote valleys receive no training at all. There is only one practical answer: on-the-job training. For Naik Parveen and her friends, This means a daily ride to the nearest school. This need for on-the-job training was recognized by a group of Pakistani educators in the Aga Khan Education Service in 1983. They responded by establishing a program called Field-Based Teacher Development. It is a bold attempt to overcome one of the developing world's most difficult challenges, improving teaching in rural areas. In a sense, the origins of this program go back over 40 years, when the present Aga Khan's grandfather, Sir Sultan Muhammad Shah, urged his followers to give priority to educating girls. If you educate a man, you educate one person, he reasoned. If you educate a woman, you educate a whole family. So a network of Aga Khan schools for girls grew up alongside the government schools for boys. Over the years, the Aga Khan Education Service has also built schools in several other countries in Africa and Asia. They are open not just to Ismaili Muslims, followers of the Aga Khan, but to children of all races and faiths. In northern Pakistan, 2 boarding schools have been established to take girls up to senior secondary level. But schools like these can only serve a small percentage of a population anxious for education. So a program has been established to help villagers build their own schools. It is a cooperative effort, open to any village willing to donate land for the school, their labor, and local materials. The terms of the partnership are discussed in detail between project leaders and villagers to ensure that both sides understand their commitments. The project provides the other necessary ingredients: machinery to make concrete blocks, technical assistance, and the steel reinforcing rods to make the schools earthquake-proof. The result is safe, bright, functional buildings, conducive to learning. But improving the quality of teaching in these schools is a very different challenge. Naik Parveen teaches in the village of Sultanabad. She became a teacher 4 years ago to help to support her family. But she never went to teacher's college and lacks confidence in herself as a teacher. Because she didn't have a teacher's certificate, she was paid less and had no chance for advancement. This year, Naik Parveen is taking part in the field-based teacher development program, along with 9 other trainee teachers at the Sultanabad school. Because existing primary schools are used, there's no need for an expensive permanent training institute. Each year, a new set of schools are turned into centers in areas where there is a concentration of untrained teachers. The field-based program has been funded throughout by the Aga Khan Foundation and the Canadian International Development Agency. From 4 centers in 1984, the program has expanded to 8, 4 each in Aga Khan and government schools. Each center has a master trainer who is critical to the success of the program. In Sultanabad, the master trainer is Maula Dad. He's been selected because he's an outstanding teacher. Since he is also headmaster of the school, he must combine teaching and administrative duties.
ये असर हो दुआए नयर में, ये असर हो दुआए नयर में, इल्म की रोशनी हो घर घर में.
At the beginning of the school year, Maula Dad gives demonstration lessons. Today, it's a poetry lesson in a grade 5 class. He shows Naik Parveen and the other trainees how he expects them to interact with the children and how to handle this difficult topic.
नहीं देखें, इसमें आपने ये आपके वहाँ इस तरह लिखा हुआ है और आपने इसे यही पढ़ा. इन दोनों में क्या फर्क है? हाथ खड़ा करें आप. हाथ खड़ा करें. शाबाश. आप नजमा. ताकत.
यहाँ पर देखें शाबाश. और ये गाँव के तिनके देखें.
After a few weeks, it is Naik Parveen's turn.
देखें. इनके करीब लाएं दोबारा.
She's giving a lesson on magnetism while Maula Dad observes. He must be attentive to both the technique and content of Naik Parveen's lessons and tactfully maintain her confidence while handling her mistakes.
हाँ देखिए, सुई को उठाया या नहीं उठाया. मगनातिस के साथ चिमट किया ना. अब इस गाँव के तिनके के करीब लाएं.
मसलन ये कि बाज़ हमारे ट्रेनिज जो हैं वो शर्म और झिझक महसूस करते हैं. इस वजह से वो आप ट्रेनर के सामने या किसी भी विज़िटर के सामने या यहाँ तक कि अपने कोलीग उनका जो होता है उनके साथी जो होती है क्लास में उसके सामने वो लेसन देते हुए शर्माते हैं और झिझक महसूस करते हैं. दूसरी बात यह है, जैसा कि हमने देखा है कि ये ट्रेनीज़ बाज़ औक़ात उनमें एतिमाद की कमी होती है. 1 साल के बाद फ़ारिग हो जाते हैं तो हम उन्हें ज़्यादा बाएतिमाद, ज़्यादा ही फ़र्ज़ शिनास और फरमानबरदार पाते हैं और ज़्यादा अहलियत के साथ वो ट्रेनिंग से फ़ारिग हो जाते हैं.
1 2 3 4 5.
Throughout the year-long program, the teachers work in pairs. Naik Parveen teaches one lesson, her partner Surya the next. As they gain confidence, master trainer Maula Dad leaves them to observe each other. The advantages of the new teaching techniques are soon obvious to the young teachers.
12. इसमें सर हम क्लास में टीचिंग एड वो इस्तेमाल करते हैं. मामलात की वजह से बच्चे उस सबक में दिलचस्पी लेते हैं और वो बड़े शौक़ से हमारे लेसन को सुनते हैं और बड़े जोश से सवालात के जवाब देते हैं.
After school each day, Naik Parveen and the other trainees meet with Maula Dad. They exchange observations on each other's performance, and Maula Dad points out ways in which they can improve. Over the course of the school year, the teachers change partners and grade levels. By the end of the year, they will have been exposed to the whole syllabus.
सर मैं इस FBT में इसलिए आई कि गवर्नमेंट एजुकेशन के मुकाबले में यहाँ पर अमली काम FBT में अमली काम ज़्यादा होता है और गवर्नमेंट में सिर्फ 1 महीना प्रैक्टिकली काम होता है, लेकिन यहाँ पर पूरे साल होता है, इसलिए हम यहाँ तजर्बे में ज़्यादा बेइजाफा ज़्यादा होता है.
Practical training is one aspect of the field-based program. The trainee teachers also prepare for the primary teacher's certificate exams. Here at the center in Nazirabad, the master trainer is teaching educational theory and child psychology, subjects normally studied at the teachers' colleges in the city. On other afternoons, the master trainer will work with the trainees to improve their knowledge of science, math, Urdu, and the other core subjects. The teachers are assisted by manuals written especially for the field-based program. The old textbooks were prepared for teachers in southern Pakistan and described a world alien in landscape and culture to the northern villages. After a year of hard work and practical experience, the teachers are eligible to sit for the examination. If they pass, they get higher pay and more opportunities for promotion. The manager of the field-based teacher development program is Professor Mubarak Shah. He oversees the work of the master trainers and the trainees. As the 8 training centers are scattered over a wide area, Professor Shah and his team spend many hours on these mountain roads. For Professor Shah, the key objective he hopes to achieve is a fundamental shift in attitudes, from teacher-centered to child-centered learning. Professor Shah.
हम इस प्रोग्राम के ज़रिए 2 और मकासद भी हासिल कर रहे हैं। एक तो ये कि हम प्राइमरी स्कूल के उस्ताद को वो मुनासिब रवैये और महारतें दे रहे हैं जिसके ज़रिए वो प्राइमरी स्कूल का अच्छा उस्ताद बन सके, और दूसरी ये कि हम प्राइमरी स्कूल में पढ़ने वाले बच्चों को एक ख़ास तरीक़ाकार के ज़रिए, उस्ताद के पढ़ाने के ख़ास तरीक़ा तदरीस के ज़रिए सोचने वाले, तरक्की करने वाले, बाएतमाद और मुअज़्ज़ज़ फ़र्द के तौर पर बढ़ते हुए देखना चाहते हैं।
बच्चों, क्या आप बता सकते हैं कि मौसम गर्मा में दर्जा हरारत कितने सेंटीग्रेड तक पहुंचता है, कोई बता सकते हैं?
Perhaps the program's greatest challenge is to help the trainees break their old teaching habits. It does this by emphasizing 4 basic principles of child-centered learning.
फजील अशिया क्या है? चीनी।
At Nasirabad, Mohammed Hanif tries to incorporate these principles into his grade 4 science class.
अच्छा देखो ये
The first principle is that each child should participate actively. In Mohammed's class, the children see for themselves how some solids dissolve in water.
आप इसके अंदर हाथ लगा के देखो, इसके अंदर चीनी है? नहीं है। ये क्या हुई? चीनी अंदर, पानी के अंदर हल हो गई। देखो इन बच्चों को दिखाओ, शाबाश, सबको दिखाओ।
The second principle is that teachers must prepare their lessons in advance. Mohammed is learning to think not only about the content of his lessons, but about the questions he will ask and the examples he will use.
अच्छा जी, ये हो गया। अब दूसरा हल पजीर होने वाला एशिया कौन सा चीज़ है? आप बताएं। चलो आप बताओ। नमक। ठीक है, बैठो। कौन सा चीज़ है? नमक। नमक ना, ये क्या होता है? पानी में हल होता है.
In the village of Singal, Marfa and her friends enjoy going to school. Although she may not realize it, the principles of child-centered learning are helping to improve her education. Her teacher's science lesson demonstrates a third principle of child-centered learning. The lessons must be relevant to the local environment. Farmers need to know about the weather. Marfa is learning to recognize different cloud formations and what they mean. Her teacher is well prepared and is using teaching aids to bring the lesson to life. Each lesson includes an exercise to check how much each child has understood, a fourth basic principle of child-centered learning.
आप बताएं बेटी, ये सूरज को ढक देता है. ये सूरज को ढक देता है. गुड. सीरियस बातें हैं. ये किस चीज की निशानदेही करता है? कौन बताएंगे? आप बताएं बेटी.
Marfa is not afraid to be called on. She knows her teachers will encourage her, even if she gets the wrong answer.
शाबाश.
Since the trainee teachers practice their new skills every day, they quickly see the benefit of their preparation and planning. Because they make their lessons relevant, the children respond with interest and enjoyment. And because the children are getting individual attention, they are motivated to learn. This on-the-job training program is hard work, especially for women like Naik Parveen. Her day is not finished when she leaves the school. She lives with her 2 children in her father-in-law's compound. Her husband is away working in Karachi. She must combine her teaching and studying with her other household and child care duties.
इसमें सर हम घर का काम जो कुछ भी हो हम छोड़कर अपना ये काम पूरा करते हैं. बच्चे बीमार होते हैं उस वक्त भी हम उनको भी छोड़कर हम ये काम करते हैं. अपना ये काम खूबी से निभाते हैं सर.
But the extra income which comes with being a qualified teacher is a powerful incentive.
इस पैसे को मैं अपनी बच्चों की तालीम पर खर्च करूंगी. कुछ बचत करके इसमें से अपने बच्चों की तालीम के लिए कुछ जमा करूंगी सर.
हाँ बेटी, आपने क्या महसूस किया इसको सुनकर? खुशबू महसूस की. आज हमारे सबक
The field-based teacher development program is a radical departure from conventional teacher training. But like any new program, there are growing pains. Chairman of the Aga Khan Education Service, Pakistan, Asif Fancy.
Is the right thing. What we want are independent, free-thinking individuals who, when they leave the school, can become a contributive part of the society in which they live. That requires them to be taught in such a way that the teachers believe that that is the way to go. I feel that the problem with the field-based at the moment is that this concept may not be totally understood by the people who are actually learning from it.
2 evaluations of the program, partly funded by the International Development Research Center, have deemed it a success. But they also voice Asif Fancy's concern. Do the trainees sufficiently understand what they are being asked to do and why? Are the principles of good teaching supplied by the master trainers clear enough? The evaluators visited some of the first trainees and found inevitably that some had slipped back into their old ways. To address this problem, learning supervisors have been appointed. They visit former trainees to encourage them, give advice, and report on their performance. And what about the children of these isolated valleys? Are improvements in teaching making a difference in their lives? Marfa and her friends face an uncertain future. The changes coming to these valleys bring with them new opportunities and new risks. Thanks to education, options for women are growing. The course of Marfa's life is less easy to predict than her mother's. For Marfa, the success of the field-based teacher development program cannot be measured by evaluations alone. There is also her new enthusiasm for learning.
आधे मिस्से मिस्टी हैं ने सबक मिस्टी प्रेन तरबियत मिस्टी थे न खेल थरेन और हर खेल थरेन तरबियत देन